Before this video starts, I just want to point something out. Sorry if you hear any background noise in my vocals. Basically, we're in the middle of a heat wave over here, so I have to keep my air conditioning on, or else I would probably die of heat stroke. So, yeah, you're going to be hearing that. Sorry. To say BioWare's new loot adventure game Anthem had a rough launch is putting it very lightly. Rather than go into a whole song and dance about how I saw the game at E3 and was excited about it and was then super disappointed, I think it's best to just get to the point and start with when I first got hands-on with the game. Since I was excited for the game, but also kind of getting this bad feeling about it given its prior coverage, I opted to try the VIP demo by signing up for Origin Access Premier. That way I could try the game out for $15 and then also play at release for just another $15. What I saw during that VIP demo was not promising. The PC version of the game was really buggy. Server connection issues were rampant, and alongside the infamous infinite loading screen, made for a terrible experience. While the open demo did alleviate some of the issues, I was still not confident heading into the release. Then release came, and I found an experience that, while a bit cleaner and somewhat more finished, still left a lot to be desired. The game still had a bug that was present in the VIP demo where the audio would drop out in the middle of play and would necessitate relaunching the game. That alone was pretty bad, but on top of that, a newer patch caused Anthem to freeze as soon as I tried to exit the game. I'm honestly surprised that my Control, Alt, and Delete keys were still usable on my keyboard after that whole mess. There were more issues, but we'll get back to it, I promise, as some of them are still in game today. At the game's core, though, I found a gameplay loop that was fun. The javelins were a lot of fun to fly around in, combat felt pretty good, and you got a sense that each javelin had a specific role to play in combat. I also liked the general aesthetic of the game. Say what you want about the engine, but Frostbite Engine creates some really awesome looking armor, wildlife, and just great vistas in general. After a while, though, I ended up dropping the game as, like many others, I found the endgame to be pretty lacking and not worth my time. I canceled my Origin Access Premier subscription and moved on. Given that I'm trying to spend some time away from my desktop because I spend all day in front of a desktop at work, I kept a keen eye out for the console version specifically. Then I saw a deal that popped up at GameStop where you could get the Anthem Legion of Dawn edition on disc for $20. Seeing as the original price for that game was around $80, I believe, I saw that as a good enough deal and picked it up for Xbox One. So I started up the campaign and found myself having fun again. The game was still fun, and it seemed that BioWare had worked on the performance on Xbox One somewhat since the launch, as I didn't see as many FPS drops as before. Otherwise, however, from the viewpoint of the first few missions, the game seemed relatively untouched. Then I loaded into Fort Tarsis for the first time and ran into one of the game's very, very welcome changes. You can now load into the Forge from anywhere in Fort Tarsis, and also while out on a mission minus the cosmetics while on mission. This was a pretty large pain point for anyone playing at launch, as going to the Forge was a very time-consuming affair, and like other loot games, you were constantly going back to your loadout to tweak things. While I would like to be able to change cosmetics as well whenever I want, I'll 100% take what we're given here, as it is a big quality of life change for the better. Adding to that, the game also lets you start a mission from any point in Fort Tarsis now, which is also a very nice change. Previously, you would have to walk all the way from wherever you were in the fort to the Forge and then launch a mission. Both of these changes go a long way to help the player cut off unnecessary time. Speaking of unnecessary time, I didn't run into a single infinite loading screen nor any audio drops, which is again great and shows that the team is working to try and fix the game. In fact, loading times are totally fine now. You just wait about as much time as you would in Warframe or Destiny 2 for a mission to start, so that's totally fine with me. Also, it seems like people are still playing this game on Xbox One at least. I saw a post on the subreddit a few weeks back of the launch bay during peak hours and was worried, but I've been seeing people this entire weekend. Granted, we're talking Xbox One versus PC, but I don't think the community is as dead as some want it to be. Another welcome change was an albeit specific one, but a huge help at the same time. The Trials mission at launch was this mid-campaign grind fest that saw players in free play for hours trying to farm events, chests, and revives. For some reason. No matter how much of it you had done prior to starting this mission, you started at 0 for everything when the mission began, which was super annoying. Luckily, sometime in March, it seems BioWare patched this mission, so everything you did prior to starting this mission counted towards the grind. It felt great to go up to 2 of these trials and just have them auto-complete right there with no grinding needed. Granted, I still had 2 of them to do, but even those had portions of it completed already, so it didn't take nearly as long. This was a much needed change, and I think it improves the quality of the campaign significantly. Granted, I don't like grinding in these kind of games during the campaign, but I'll take what I can get at this point with Anthem. Unfortunately, it was around this trial mission that I ran into some pretty annoying issues as well. While I think the studio is working as fast as they can within the constraints of the engine being used, some things really need to be addressed sooner rather than later. First and foremost is the stability of the game. While yes, I did have that freezing problem on PC when trying to close the game, the Xbox One version has a pretty consistent hard crashing problem. Within less than 10 hours of playtime, I have hard crashed back to the Xbox One dashboard 3 times. I've also been kicked off the server twice as well. On top of that, I am still seeing FPS drops in sections where more particle effects are going off, particularly with the Storm Javelin's ultimate attack. Devs working on this game have remarked in the past that the engine being used for Anthem, Frostbite, is full of razor blades, and that is still very much apparent here. I'll even go out on a limb and say something that may get me in trouble with those that have been playing this game consistently since launch. BioWare should prioritize performance and stability over adding new content. I understand that they are starting this new Cataclysm event soon, and I wouldn't go as far as to say that they should pull that content, but they should be working on optimizing the game as best as they can first, moving forward. Granted, optimization is not going to be easy, especially on the consoles. The CPU on any of the consoles, even their mid-gen upgrades like the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, is lacking and will always be a bottleneck. Still, I think this game can be patched up to run a lot better than it currently is. A lot of people have also been calling for an official performance mode on the Pro and X, as a game like this doesn't really need 4K. Performance matters more to a lot of us, and having the option to drop resolution and some of the more taxing graphic settings would be really great. More importantly though, these hard crashes need to stop. I understand that these kind of problems can't be eliminated 100%, but I can't be having 3 of them in a day. That's just way too much. There also needs to be some quicker fixes on the content side as well, particularly the cosmetics. This game needs to take a page out of Warframe's book and just have all of the cosmetic items for your Javelin available to purchase at all times. The current model that switches out most of the cosmetics every week is just dumb. I get that somebody at EA or BioWare thought it would be a great idea to create this fear of missing out factor when it comes to the store, but that person needs a wake-up call. That crappy business practice only works when you're the only player on the court. It does not work when Destiny 2, Division 2, and Warframe all have way more cosmetics that are practically being shoveled at the player in some situations. This needs to change if you want players to get excited about Anthem again. Customizing your Javelin is half of the fun when it comes to this game, as it is in those other games as well. Also, side note, let your teams talk about these other games. It can only help. Performance and stability come first though, and the reason that I focus on these issues specifically is because honestly, you can have all the most exciting content in the world, but if your game runs poorly and crashes constantly, then no one is going to bother with it. And that's just it though. I want people to bother with it. I want people to eventually come back to Anthem and find a game that is almost nothing like the buggy, messy game that they left at launch. That cannot happen while the game is still in this unstable state on consoles, so it makes more sense to focus on that as opposed to adding a lot of new content. For now though, it seems that BioWare has basically gone silent in order to focus on fixing the game, so until their next update, we move on. Later.